Welcome. We're showing off our new whiteboarding application on MeshedSites.com, and this is kind of a video tutorial on how to use it. So first, if you just go to our search feature and search for white, it'll probably be the first entry, and you can just download the application that way. There's a few instructions, a few things you need to set up to get all the clients to work. The first thing you need to do is create a shared read-write directory. This will be shared between all the users that will be working in this whiteboarding session. So I'm going to create a folder called whiteboard.data. And then I'm going to sync that with BitTorrent Sync. Okay, now I'm going to copy this read-write key. And this next step, somewhat optional. You can just send the key to the other clients that you're going to be communicating with, but it's easier to just go onto MeshedSites.com and create a URL entry for it. We're going to put the read-write key here. Next, we're going to encrypt it. This is to ensure that if anyone finds this URL, they won't be able to access it. And it also keeps that key out of our database. So if you want to keep it completely encrypted and no one to know what the key is, this is the way to do it. One thing I'd have to say is that it's encrypted on both the clients. So if you lose the key, it's gone forever. We can't recover it. I should say if you lose your passphrase, not the key. So now you'll go over to my Windows machine here, and this is the first time it's ever loaded this application. So since it's the first time, it's going to get a security message making sure you want to sync this folder. Once it's synced, you can go over and type the URL to that data directory. And since it's encrypted, it's going to ask you for a passphrase the first time you load it. So we enter the passphrase, which decrypts the key and automatically syncs that key with BitTorrent Sync. All right, you don't have to wait for this to load. There's no HTML in it like the other sites, so you can just close that out. And you should be all in sync. The next step is both machines need to have PHP installed. So we are going to start that up. None of these buttons will be able to update until you can start your PHP instance. To be able to do this, I think you need PHP 5.4 and higher. So this lets you run a local PHP web server. We're doing this on port 8000. And then you can update these values. Next, we're going to go over to the Windows machine and do the same thing. You have to, one thing I forgot to mention is you have to run this PHP instance from inside the whiteboarding.meshedsites.com directory. All right, good. We're set up. Now, we're going to send a, well, first we're going to update these values. Then we're going to send a simple chat to see if we can do decentralized messaging between these two machines. One thing, because it's peer-to-peer, it can sometimes take a while to sync. The most I've seen it take is about 13 seconds for both machines to sync up. This is on a local network, so it may take longer going to an external machine. All right, so I'm going to send one from my OS X machine to see if it can send back and forth. And as soon as that syncs, we'll move on to whiteboarding. Okay, we're good. All right, so here we're going to do a simple whiteboarding kind of setup. We're using an open source project called Literally Canvas to do all the front end stuff for us. It's on GitHub. If you're interested in using something similar, I highly recommend it. So you can change the colors, draw lines, do boxes. So first we're going to start off with kind of a flow diagram of how this application works. So we're going to create some boxes that represent our two machines that are connecting across BitTorrent sync right now. One thing I'll say is the changes don't sync fully until you've kind of stopped writing for a minute. So after you quit editing this diagram, the changes will propagate over to that Windows machine. So doing this kind of network diagram here, going to give it some text now, kind of give it a title. All right, and you can see that it's synced on the Windows machine while I was doing those edits to the title. All right, so now I'm going to name each one of these components. So this is going to be our browser, which is going to connect to our PHP instance. The local PHP instance. Okay, which it connects to BitTorrent sync, the local BitTorrent sync client. And this will be the external machine, BitTorrent sync, which connects to its PHP, and the process is repeated on the other side. Okay, now we're going to number each one of these flows. And our diagram is complete. So give it a few seconds and it will propagate over to the Windows machine. And that's syncing now. And we're done syncing. So that's pretty much it. That's all you got to do. And a lot of those changes we did at the beginning don't have to be done again once you've got a set of people you're working with. Of course, if you're working with different groups of people, you have to create a different data directory. But that's that's how it's going to lay out from now on. Also, I'd have to mention is that all those settings are also stored in the browser cache or a browser data store, so you don't have to re-enter them every time you load the page. Every time you go to this page, things like your alias and those data directories you set will be pre-populated for you. So, so there you go. I hope you like the project, like any feedback you have on it, and thanks for watching.